2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4.
Good morning, everybody. I am State Representative John Santinella from the 58th District here in Enfield, and it is my pleasure to welcome all of you here to the Department of Motor Vehicles as we recognize Accessible Parking Awareness Day in the state of Connecticut. As a member of the General Assembly and as someone who represents this community, I am proud to stand with all of you, advocates, public servants, and residents who believe that access, dignity, and respect are not just ideas, but rights that every person in our state is entitled to. Today, we are reminded that Connecticut thrives when we are inclusive, when we build systems, policies, and public spaces that work for everyone, regardless of their physical ability or circumstances. Accessible parking may seem like a small part of a bigger picture, but in reality, it represents something fundamental: the right to independence, freedom, and equal participation in daily life. Too often, individuals with disabilities face unnecessary barriers that are not just physical, but social and systemic. Today, we are sending a message that equity is everyone's responsibility, that awareness must lead to action, and that respect must be reflected in the way we behave. I know I speak for the vast majority of my colleagues in the House of Representatives when I say that we will continue to advance legislation that promotes equity, inclusion, and access for residents of our state. And now it is my distinct privilege to introduce someone who has long championed these values, not just in words, but in her actions. She's been a tireless advocate for equality, a fierce supporter for inclusive policies, and a leader who always puts people first. Please join me in welcoming Lieutenant Governor Susan Bysiewicz.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Representative Santinella, for that very warm welcome. And I want to thank all of our elected officials and policy makers and advocates for joining us today as we recognize the importance of accessibility, equity, and inclusion for all of our residents. Today, we are very proud to highlight the advocacy of Alex Bode and her mother, Mary Caruso, who have formed a wonderful advocacy organization. And they have done everything to advocate for accessibility when it comes to parking. Parking accessibility is more than just a space. It's a matter of respect, dignity, and safety. In our state, accessible parking placards are available as temporary or permanent permits. Both require certification from a medical professional. Using someone else's placard or failing to renew an outdated one not only breaks the law, but it also denies access to the people who really need it. So, respecting these guidelines means respecting the independence and safety of our neighbors. So I want to thank Commissioner Guerrera and the DMV and our legislators and every partner in this work, especially Alex and Mary, for reminding us what's possible when compassion fuels action. Alex and Mary came to visit me in my office in the springtime to highlight the problem that they were experiencing of finding that people were using spaces who weren't really entitled to them. And so we started an initiative, and there's now legislation because of their advocacy, and we appreciate very much their tireless work on this. And today we are going to officially proclaim July 14th as Accessible Parking Awareness Day in Connecticut. So I'm going to just take out this proclamation and read this, and we very much appreciate Governor Lamont making this a priority for our state. Whereas accessibility is a fundamental right that ensures every individual, regardless of ability, has equal opportunity to participate fully in community life, and whereas creating an accessible and inclusive Connecticut means ensuring that all public spaces, including parking, sidewalks, crosswalks, public transportation, and more, are designed to accommodate people of all abilities, and whereas barriers to accessibility can prevent individuals with disabilities, older adults, and others from fully engaging in work, education, healthcare, and recreational activities, and whereas improving community accessibility benefits everyone by fostering a more inclusive, welcoming, and economically vibrant state for all residents and visitors, and whereas the state of Connecticut is committed to promoting awareness, implementing solutions, and working in partnership with local governments, businesses, and community organizations to enhance accessibility in all aspects of daily life. And so therefore I, Ned Lamont, Governor of the State of Connecticut, do hereby officially proclaim the day of Monday, July 14th to be Accessible Parking Awareness Day in the state of Connecticut, and I urge all residents, businesses, and community organizations to recognize this day. And it is my great honor to present this proclamation, the original, signed by the governor, to both Alex and Mary because of their very tireless and effective advocacy for this very important issue. So, here you go, Maryann and Alex. Congratulations. Very well done. Well done. All right, so now we have some wonderful people who have helped this day be possible, and we'll start with our fantastic Commissioner of Motor Vehicles, Commissioner Guerrera.
Thank you, Lieutenant Bysiewicz, and I also want to thank Governor Lamont and all the lawmakers that were advocates for supporting the DMV and the accessible parking efforts. I'm extremely proud of the DMV and the agency's contributions to accessible parking in Connecticut. Ladies and gentlemen, when I met with this group, who was really spearheaded by Ms. Caruso, it is something that sometimes as individuals we take for granted. You know, you don't realize when you pull into a parking spot, whether it's at a Dunkin' Donuts, at Big Y, any supermarket, but when you pull into a handicap spot and you have to see someone who may have a child with a disability or an elderly individual with a disability that has to park across the parking lot and then takes them not 5 minutes, not 10 minutes, but 15, 20 minutes longer. That is not right. And that is what this group was all about. It was about informing the public that they just want to make it easier, all right, to have these individuals to come out and get to their place of business. And it's about teaching them that. And this group, and Mary, who I was, honestly, folks, was like so impressed with some of the comments from this advisory council. Wasn't that they were bitter or anything like that, but really, as Lieutenant Governor said, shed a light in informing individuals how important this is. And that's what we're doing today, as you can see with many of the people here today, how important this is. And this accessible parking advisory group will keep meeting and will keep changing different laws and different legislation to make sure that we get to where we want to be. There will be always changes moving forward, as we all know, but this is a great start. And Mary, thank you, thank you, thank you. And to the advisory council, thank you to all of you, because what you did was unbelievable. So with that, folks, I want to say welcome to the DMV, and thank you for being here.
Commissioner, thank you so much, and I did go inside, and there are no lines, so if you need DMV stuff, it's a great time to go. All right, good job, Commissioner. All right, so to bring forward the ladies of the hour, I want to bring up Alex Bode and Mary Caruso to talk about this great day and their advocacy. So maybe there you go. Good job.
I think that's good. So fine.
Good, yeah. I think this comes out. There you go.
Yeah,
all right.
Thank you, everyone. Al? You got it. You got it. And accessibility. You got it out there.
Yes.
Good morning. My name is Mary Caruso, like you haven't already heard it a million times today. I am the founder of Peace, Love, Accessibility, and we are a grassroots committed to making communities more inclusive and accessible to everyone. More importantly, I am the very proud mom of two incredible people, Sam and Alex Bode, who inspire me in this work every day of my life. I'm honored to be here to officially recognize Accessible Parking Awareness Day in Connecticut. As you've heard, accessible parking is more than a space. It's a lifeline. It ensures that people with mobility impairments can participate in daily life with dignity, freedom, and independence. But this program only works if we all do our part. It deserves our full attention and collective responsibility. Police officers are on the forefront of enforcement. They're on the front line, and their role is essential. But they cannot do it without all of us doing our part. We need our medical professionals to know that there is criteria, to understand the criteria, and thoughtfully guide their patients, because placards should only be issued when they're truly needed. We need our businesses to respect the law and to understand the true need by maintaining their accessible parking spots, by keeping access routes clear, and following ADA standards. We need our towns and cities in the state to lead by example. They need to ensure their public spaces and their local merchants are compliant and they're welcoming to everyone. We need our communities to understand the law, to respect accessible spaces, and to recognize their true purpose. And finally, we need placard holders to uphold their end. Knowing the rules and following them helps protect access and honors the integrity of the program for their fellow placard users. This is more than parking. It's about fairness, respect, and inclusion. Together, we can build communities where everyone feels they belong. On behalf of Alex and her board and Piece of Accessibility, I want to thank Lieutenant Governor Bysiewicz. She was so welcoming to us in her office, and she's been in constant contact with Alex. Commissioner Guerrera, who is pretty tired of hearing from me, and all of our partners here today for recognizing the importance of today. Let's continue to keep our doors, walkways, and spaces open to everyone. Al, the important closing line.
Without me, keep the conversation going.
We must keep this conversation going, so thank you very much.
Excellent. All right. Let's give Alex and Mary another round of applause. Well done. Well done, ladies. All right. It's my pleasure to introduce the Deputy Commissioner of our Department of Aging, Suzette DeBeetham Brown.
That was so good, Mary and Alex. Thank you for the work that you do. At the Department of Aging and Disability Services, our mission is to maximize opportunities for the independence and well-being of people with disabilities and older adults in Connecticut. Accessible parking is essential to that mission. For many older adults and individuals with disabilities and those that support them, it's not a convenience. It is a necessity that makes daily life possible, from medical appointments to grocery store trips and more. But accessibility shouldn't end at the parking lot. It must extend to level entrances and automatic doors, mobility accessible restrooms, high contrast signage for aging eyes, lowered service counters, communication tools like ASL and plain language materials, and sensory friendly environments. Accessibility is more than a checklist. It's a commitment of equity, safety, and dignity. When we prioritize access, we create stronger, more inclusive communities for everyone. This is a job for everyone. And Mary, you're correct. The conversation must continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Deputy. So, to represent the Transportation Committee and our state legislature, State Representative Jerry Reyes.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Good morning, everybody. It is an honor and privilege to be here. I have had the privilege of serving for 10 years in transportation, and I do remember the conversations. I do remember you testifying, and you were driving the point home that should be common sense to everybody. But sometimes when we're rushing and we think that we're only going to take a minute, that minute could be the difference when it comes to somebody who really needs that spot. So we really have to educate ourselves, be mindful that you're no more important than anybody else. This is about fairness. And I want to take a second to thank Representative Gary Turkle, who, like myself, sponsored the advisory council. That was quite a few years ago, and we want to thank you for the work that you've done. We clearly see that we were in the right place at that time, and there is much more to do. And in the name of equity and fairness and inclusion, we know that Connecticut is one of the leaders. We want to thank Governor Lamont and our Lieutenant Governor, and obviously our Commissioner Guerrero, who's an old friend of mine, to continue advocating for everyone together so that we can make this state the best state in the union. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Representative Reyes. And do we have the Deputy Commissioner, Elisa Velardo, here? Elisa, step right up. Our fabulous DDS Deputy Commissioner, Elisa Velardo.
Thank you. Good morning. On behalf of Commissioner Sheff and the Department of Developmental Services, I'm so excited to join with you today to recognize July 14th as Accessible Parking Awareness Day and to bring attention to the importance of accessible parking, not just for individuals with disabilities who drive, but also for the family members, care providers, and direct support professionals who assist them in accessing their communities each and every day. Accessibility is core to our mission at DDS. We are committed to supporting individuals with intellectual disability to live full, inclusive lives in their communities. Accessible parking is one key that makes that possible, supporting independence, dignity, and meaningful participation in community life. Just think about a typical day, and we've heard some examples already, and the daily activities we take for granted, whether it's going out to eat with friends, visiting the doctor, going to work or school, or just running everyday errands. These are basic experiences that must be accessible to all. Accessibility is not just about compliance. It reflects our values here at DDS and in the state of Connecticut. And I want to thank the Lieutenant Governor for her leadership, Governor Lamont, and the folks at Peace, Love, and Accessibility for supporting this event. When done right, accessibility empowers individuals, reduces stress for families, and builds stronger, more inclusive communities. That's the future we at DDS envision, and for all of us in Connecticut, and we're working for each and every day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Deputy. And Representative Reyes mentioned the Advisory Council, and we have at least one Advisory Council member with us. Council Member Jonathan Slifka, thank you so much for coming and for your advocacy. You've been such a leader for us. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the Senate Chair of the Transportation Committee of our legislature. That committee is always acting in a bipartisan fashion, and they're also very efficient. They just do one or two bills, which is just amazing. I wish every committee could act in that way. But State Senator Christine Cohen, Chair of the Transportation Committee.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor. So glad to be here on what is now Accessibility Parking Awareness Day here in the state of Connecticut. It's our commitment to raising awareness around access, and that is something that should be simple, something that many of us take for granted, as we've already heard today, but is not simple for everyone. And it means independence. Access means being able to get to the grocery store, being able to get to that doctor's appointment, as you mentioned, Deputy Commissioner, being able to pick your children up from school, or getting out to lunch or dinner with friends. And so this is incredibly important. It's why when Mary Caruso came to me with her children, Alex and Sam, and said, hey, we're noticing a lot of abuse when it comes to accessible parking. What can we do about it? It's why we, as the Transportation Committee, made a commitment to get a council together to work with the commissioners of DDS and DMV. And I'm so grateful to Commissioner Guerrera for his commitment to the council, to making it work, to taking a deeper dive into the placards that are out there. Grateful to law enforcement, who's been stepping up to the plate and saying, hey, we want to make sure that those in the disability community are able to get the access they need. And today is about, as I said, raising awareness. And thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for gathering us all together to have this press conference, getting word out to the public that when you're pulling into an accessible parking spot, that you're taking notice. Are you over the lines? Are you thinking to yourself, oh, hey, I'll just park here for a minute and run in? No, don't do that. You're taking away independence. You're taking away access from somebody else. So let's be mindful of this. Let's work as a community together to make sure that everybody has their independence, to make sure that everybody has equal access to all of the things that we might take for granted. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Senator, thank you so much. So our final speaker is Enfield Mayor Ken Nelson.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank the Lieutenant Governor for coming to Enfield. It means quite a bit. And having a Department of Motor Vehicles in our town is huge for our residents and the surrounding areas. Everything we do for accessible parking is only as good as the enforcement. And I will tell you, as mayor of Enfield, and I see a lot of our council members, the deputy mayor here, we will enforce the fines that are currently in place, and I ask that we give the police the teeth to make the fines hurt. When I came today early, I saw a gentleman get out of his van, disabled, wheelchair, and you don't realize how much space it takes for them to unload their own wheelchair and get into it to have accessibility to places in the area. But it's eye-opening, and I think maybe a commercial demonstrating to the people so they can actually see firsthand what these people's challenges are to get out and go to a store just for a gallon of milk, something that you and I take for granted every day, they don't. And what they've gone through to learn or relearn how to get to places like that is something that none of us could truly understand. But I will stand behind our police department 100% when it comes to enforcement, and especially at Christmas time. Nothing upsets me more than those people who think, you know, I'm just going to run in for a couple minutes, get a few presents, and run out. Well, they don't understand who they're stopping from doing the same thing. So for that, I commit, and Enfield commits to fully enforce any laws or tools the state of Connecticut gives us. And I want to thank you again, Lieutenant Governor, and everyone else for their hard work and dedication to this. It truly means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And I do want to mention that we have Chief Fox of the Enfield Police Department here and some other members of the law enforcement community, and we appreciate everything that they do. So with that, I'm going to see if we have any questions from our media partners. No questions. All right, we covered everything. Fantastic. So what I'd like to do is have a group photo with all of our advocates and elected officials. And thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.
All right.